Vande Devam Umapatim Suragurum Vande Jagat Karanam Vande Pannagabhushanam Mrigadharam Vande Pashunam Patim Vande Surya Shashanka Vanhinayanam Vande Mukunda Priyam Vande Bhakta Janashrayam Cha Varadam Vande Shivam Shankaram Vande Bhakta Janashrayam Cha Varadam Vande Shivam Shankaram. Let us chant Margabandhu Stotram, verses 1 and 2. Shambho Mahadeva Deva Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Devesha Shambho Shambho Mahadeva Deva Shambho Mahadeva Deva Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Devesha Shambho Shambho Mahadeva Deva Phalavanam Rat Kiritam Phalanetrachisha Dagda Pancheshu Kitam Shulahatarati Kutam Shuddhamardhendu Chudam Bhaje Margabandhum Shambho Mahadeva Deva Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Devesha Shambho Shambho Mahadeva Deva Ange Virajat Bhujangam Abhraganga Taranga Viramotamangam Omkaravati Kurangam Siddha Samsevitangrim Bhaje Margabandhum Shambho Mahadeva Deva Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Devesha Shambho Shambho Mahadeva Deva Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Deva. And so here we were seeing the second verse in which I described the beautiful story of the descent of the celestial goddess onto earth. That is the power of prayers. The power of prayer, the power of penance, the power of that wish of that mortal Raja King Bhagirath, who committed to reviving and giving his 60,000 ancestors a journey into the higher worlds. And in that sankalpa, in that will, in that commitment, he, after 3 generations, he was able to bring the very goddess to touch the earth. And so she is looked upon, Ganga is looked upon as the only goddess who has traversed the 3 worlds, the upper worlds, the earth, and the nether worlds, where these ancestors were waiting to be released. And so the purity of Ganga, when we talk about Ganga as a goddess, her presence as a goddess, every water is a holy water. Everything in the creation is holy. But we forget very quickly, we make everything so monotonous, so ordinary, so secular, so to speak, the value of the sanctity, the value of the sacred is lost from the five elements. Here in the culture, the holy waters, the Ganga waters, continue to hold the value of the sacred. And so as a goddess that descended on earth, and where she landed in the Himalayas, she came down from the abode of Lord Shiva. So these sentiments, this devotion, this faith, millions and millions of people have had for how many thousands of generations. And you find in these waters some unique features also which don't exist in other waters. It is said in those days during British rule of India, when people came by ship from Britain to India, when they came, they brought water, because nobody could drink ocean water, so they brought barrels and barrels of water from the Thames River. And halfway down, that water would be infected. It is said many would die before landing, before they reached the port in India those days, 1700s, 1800s. But when they would return, they would make sure they take the Ganga waters back, because they knew that in Ganga waters, germs don't breed. Germs cannot stand. And so they would take Ganga waters back, and so that they would reach safely their country. Well, when Ganga comes, she carries with her from the upper regions, from the mountains, from the Himalayas, many elements, even fine elements like gold and silver and so on are set to mica, and other elements are there in the waters of Ganga. And so these herbs, she brings down with her the herbs, the medicinal herbs, these elements and so on and so forth, and no germ could thrive. That's why they say in the upper regions, when they would put this Ganga water in a copper vessel and keep it in the puja room for generations, after 3 generations, if they open, Gangaji would be pure. Not anymore, okay? Not anymore. We have managed to dump so many industrial waste and pollutants and all our crap, and then we blame that, Ganga gives cancer. I once read that in the papers. It was so disgustingly annoying. Ganga doesn't give cancer. It is your own industrial waste in Ganga that, what can she do? She has to carry what you put in, is it not? And so then if you continue to have your sentiments are mixed with another hidden truth of all the dumping that we do into her. Well, Ganga does not give cancer. Ganga gives mukti. Ganga gives moksha. We always get from nature what we are ready for, really. It is the same Ganga that saved thousands of lives of people, or saved these ancestors who needed an onward journey. It is the same Ganga that has been the economic, a lap of millions of people. Whole India, if you see, the whole top portion is all Gangetic alluvial soil. A big chunk of the country, the whole civilization grew on the flow of Ganga, from Gangotri all the way up to Ganga Sagar. And so Ganga's flow is not ordinary. She runs for thousands and thousands of miles across the country. And a great Gangetic civilization, a sacred civilization, a holy civilization, a civilization where people stayed on the banks and were inspired by her. The rishis, all the sages did penance there. The spiritual seekers lived there. The people who wanted to do penance or atonement of the wrong they did, the kings also, when they wanted to do atonement for any wrong actions of theirs, they all went to Ganga belt. They went to Ganga in Himalayas. And so the Himalayas are considered to be the father. The father of the nation is the Himalayas. The mother is Ganga. And it is on these banks that when these sages did penance and they were able to get a great travel, they were able to empower their soul to sitting on the banks of Ganga, they could move into the celestial worlds, into the higher worlds. It is said that so many celestial beings come to take a dip in Ganga. Even the celestial beings, the siddhars, the saints, and the higher, celestials like the Gandharvas, the Nagas, the Yakshas, the Kinnaras, these higher different types of worlds exist. The world of the Devas are ruled by Indra. But the world of the Kinnaras, the higher celestial beings, their head is Kubera. Like this we have it's a universe which stands unseen but which exists. They all are connected to Ganga. Why? Because she is that great goddess who continues to live on earth. And in her presence, even those who did not get a journey, if her waters could only touch their soul, they would get release. This is the belief, this is the faith, this is the consciousness of billions of Hindus all over the world, and it is the civilizational identity of sacred India. The civilizational identity of sacred India, remember, is Himalayas and Ganga. They are the sacred parents of this land. That is why I consider India a sacred land. Not that there isn't sanctity all over the planet. It is the same 5 elements which are manifestations of that omniscience. But in this civilization, even today, we find the sanctity honored. The sanctity of the waters is honored. You may tell me, no, Ammaji, you just now told there is a dumping of the industrial waste. Yes, that is also there. Never forget, today's India is a country that is an outcome of 1,000 years in between of invasions and atrocities and killings and oppressions and suppressions and absolute destruction of the civilization. But we are not talking about a civilization 1,000 years old. We are talking about a civilization that goes back thousands of years old. Thousands of years old, in that this 1,000 is one dark patch. Like the dark ages of Europe and other countries, we have our own dark patch, is it not? And so the impact of that 1,000 years of the dark patch of this land, we are still reeling from it. There are confusions, there is negligence, there is carelessness, there is disregard, there is denial of sacred India. Today's India suffers from more denial than anything else. Denial of our harsh history, denial of the challenges our ancestors faced. If only the people could acknowledge the pain and suffering, we could cross that 1,000 years and go back into our roots of glories of the sages and of sacred India. But in that denial, which has come about because our very history books were written by the British, and the 70 years that followed, we never changed those books. Sacred India remains in the hearts of very, very few people. The spiritual souls, the sadhakas, the monks, the devotees, in their soul sits sacred India. For rest of the country, rest of the population, it is secular India, unfortunately. My guru used to say, India is sacred civilization except New Delhi. That is the only land which promotes secularism. India is sacred. The land is sacred because the civilization has held in its consciousness sanctity. A civilization, a group of people, the Vedic culture, where people hold sanctity in their consciousness. In their practices, they align, they fall in sync with nature. And it is in the spirit of that sanctity I speak about Ganga, the goddess, river goddess. It is that Gangetic civilization which even today, if you go to the Himalayas, you go to the mountains, even today in the higher upper regions, where some human beings live, where a few, villages are there, the village culture, when you see, if there is any part in our country where this sacred culture is alive, to whatever extent, it is in those mountains of Himalayas. Having lived there myself for 12 years, I know personally. I know what the village culture is about. I know there how they tune in with the higher altars. I know how the higher beings descend into their day-to-day life. And how these people are mediums, how they dialogue with those entities. I have seen the power of Goddess Ganga myself. You consider her a goddess, a mother, and she looks after you no matter whatever be the calamity around. If you are afraid of calamities, then you are left to yourself. But if you surrender to her, if you hand over your life to her and say, well, you are Ma, aren't you? You decide whether this child should live or should go. Let it be in her hands and let the mother know. She knows better. Let her decide. Who am I to decide? If I have a conviction, a faith, and a surrender of that clarity, it is amazing. She can flow besides you in huge, powerful waves, as if threatening to just swallow you in a split second. But you will be left unscathed, untouched. This has been the experience my own personal experience in my own ashram during the greatest calamities, biggest calamities that happened in the mountains, the Kedarnath calamity, the cloud burst where so many died. I don't question their faith, but I know as an experience, when you declare to her, my life is in your hands, you decide, mother, you know better. Every decision of yours is my decision. This is called going with the flow, to put it in a simple language. Learning to go with the flow. Conflicts come when you think you have to decide. If I believe I have to make decisions, and then whether to, whether not to, whether to, whether not to, this pendulum comes when I think I have to decide. But if we can just be able to move into that deep space where we are able to understand that we don't decide anything. Nothing happens without cosmic will, without divine will. Whether it is harsh or pleasant or workable or not workable, nothing that you experience in this world, in your day-to-day life, is minus divine will. And therefore, let whatever is happening happen. Let me go with the flow. Let me yield to what is happening. Let me surrender to the will of the divine. Let me learn my lessons moment to moment. In this experience, what is my lesson? In the experience of this pain, what is my lesson? Because no pain returns to you without you having given pain to nature. And therefore, in every experience, there is a lesson, no? Let me look for those lessons of how I should align, how I must join, how I must align to the divine. These are very, very important, basic, fundamental lessons of a human living. The power of prayers is not in asking for money and job and child and a car and some, bank balance. This is silly. Silly because we are using our great energies invested on that which are so transient. Why not I invest my energy of prayers in areas that will sustain me for years to come, that will sustain my happiness, that will sustain my convictions, my faith, that will help me carry my life to onward journey even when I drop this body. And so using the power of prayers for a higher purpose, for a bigger purpose, to find my deep peace, to be a contributor in the society is really where we need to invest our prayers. If we have faith in the infinite, well, then invest it in the infinite. Why should I invest it in finite things? That's silly, no? It's like, asking God to give you a boon, and then God comes and says, yes, bless you, child. What is it that you want? Well, I for a long time I've been wanting to have chicken soup. I'm not able to find chicken in the market. Please give me some chicken soup for dinner tonight. Is that what you're going to ask? Are you going to ask for a melon? Or a soup? Or a pumpkin? Or this is the time to ask for the highest, to the biggest. bring about such a growth and change in my own consciousness that I re-look at the world with a different pair of glasses. And so here, Ganga is a representation. She is a goddess. Well, at least you have some tangible forms in nature which help you connect to the intangible through this mythology, through these stories. And what do you need? Do you want to sit as a scientist to prove whether this is true or not? Or do you want to take the spirit, the essence of the mythology and find the devotee in you? Well, if we are sharing these moments in learning the power of prayers, it is more to be a devotee and not a scientist or a skeptic. And so here, he says, Omkara Vati Kurangam. Lord Shiva is one who moves. All that is here is Om. Like how the deer moves in a garden, free and safe, and it pervades the place. It pervades a garden. He says, Omkara Vati Kurangam. Omkara Vatyam Kurangaha iva Kurangaha. Like a deer that roams in the garden. Who is Lord Shiva? He is one who revels. Revels where? In his Om garden. What is Om garden? Well, Om is the world, is it not? Oma refers to all the worlds, the waking, the dream, the deep sleep. Who is Lord Shiva? He is the consciousness behind in the waking world. He is the consciousness in the dream world. He is the consciousness in the deep sleep world. This is on an individual basis. He is the consciousness behind the physical world. He is the consciousness behind the subtle world, the unseen world. And He is the consciousness behind the causal world in the cosmic level. So in the individual and the cosmic level, what is there in this huge garden called the universe of Om? All that is here is Shiva, Lord Shiva, who moves, who is in all the three worlds. It is as if the deer moving in the garden, he moves in, he exists in, as omniscience, he exists in all the three worlds. Omkara Vati Kurangam Siddha Samsevitangri. Siddha Samsevitangri Bhaje Margabandhu. And so Siddhaihi Samsevitau Angri Yasya Tam Siddha Samsevitangrim Bhaje. Siddha Samsevitangrim means, so by the Siddhas, by the saints, what is it? Well, his feet are worshipped. Samsevitau Angrim, the 2 feet which are worshipped by the great sages. The feet of Lord Shiva. You know, when the yogis worship, when they do their meditations, they visualize Lord Shiva in the Sahasrara. His feet are in your Sahasrara. Because he is above you, his feet are in your Sahasrara, and then they worship. They build their Shakti, they build their power to go and touch the Sahasrara. In a way, yogic, tantric ways of worship of Lord Shiva. Well, we are concerned with the Lord whose feet are worshipped by the great sages. Unto that Lord Shiva, bhaje, I worship, He Margabandhu. O Lord Shiva, the sacred being. In this verse, the message is He is omniscience. He is the form and the formless. He is the Ganga, He is the feet, He is the world, He is the garden called the universe. This beautiful universe, colorful, beautiful universe. Revere the divine. Discover the sacred in the world. Discovering the sacred in the world is seeing beyond the eyes, what these physical eyes see. Discovering the sacred in the five elements is seeing the five elements through the third eye, through the eye of wisdom. It is about seeing the unseen. The more I get in touch, the more my heart is in touch with the unseen, I will learn the value of reverence towards the seen. And so, worshipping the sacred, revering the sacred, knowing that all that is here, wherever you are, the nature, every country, I used to think when I was young, when I would see these picture postcards and so on, and first time I went to America, I thought it's all full of big buildings. Buildings over buildings and skyscrapers over skyscrapers. I was expecting everywhere concrete, a concrete jungle. I was stunned, I was shocked to see it's such a green country. Such a green country, such beauty. Every region is so beautiful. Every country is so beautiful. Every part of this earth is so lush. So bountiful is nature everywhere you go. Do we have reverence in our hearts for the sacred earth, for the sacred universe? Well, through this verse, we adore the Lord in this particular form and we offer Him our worship as a friend of my life journey. We will continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.